Hi, everyone. This is Heather Hodges. I'm an organizational psychologist. Welcome to my show. This is the place where we say I'm in to creativity, bold thinking, transformational growth, and meaningful conversations. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited about the launch of my book this week. It's called Heart Work: How to Lead People, Build Culture, and Unleash Creativity in Home Care. And it will be available on Amazon August 1st. And so for our podcast today, I thought I would just read a little bit of the book for you so you know what you're getting into if you pick up a copy. And I truly hope that it is a resource for you. So let's start with the dedication. This book is for the extraordinary individuals who lead in home care. Whether you serve in medical or non-medical care, private duty, personal care, home health, palliative, or hospice, you are the heartbeat of the mission. Thank you for showing up every day with courage and compassion and commitment. Thank you for building trust, managing the craziness, and holding it all together when things get hard. Thank you for solving problems no one else sees, for mentoring your team, for pouring into others, and for staying steady in the whirlwind. And thank you for the creative ways that you collaborate and build culture. And thank you for the sacred work of caring for people in their most vulnerable moments. You serve children who teach us about hope and resilience and wonder. And you serve our elders who remind us that presence is the greatest gift and that love, dignity, and human connection are what matter the most. To be welcomed into someone's home during these tender seasons of life is an honor, and you carry that privilege with grace and strength. Thank you for answering the call to lead in home care. This is hard work. This is hard work. And the foreword was written by my dear friend, Jen Elliott. And let me jump to the preface, which is called Why I Wrote This Book. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Ralph Waldo Emerson. If you're reading or listening to this book, there's a good chance you are one of the rare ones. Someone who wants to get better and shows up every day to lead and to serve. You're someone who runs toward the needs of others when it would be easier to run away. You know firsthand that no one who leads in home care has all the answers. But you are here and you have the courage to stay in the room when things get messy. You don't need another book telling you what to do. And you don't need one more checklist that pretends leadership is easy if you just try harder. You need reminders that your heart work matters, that your small, unseen acts of perseverance are changing lives, even on the days it doesn't feel like it. That's why I titled this book Heart Work, because what you do is not just hard work, it's heart work. It's the work of leading with empathy when you're exhausted. It's making decisions that are human, not just efficient. It's carrying the weight of other stories with dignity and grace. This book was written for you, the home care leader who encourages caregivers through emotional and logistical challenges. The sales leader who makes ambitious numbers happen with real grit. The operations leader who keeps 100 plates spinning. The clinical leader who fights for patients and teammates alike. The home office leader who works tirelessly to support the work in the field. Inside these pages, you will find leadership development tools, honest encouragement, and a whole lot of respect for how hard and how important this work is. What this book is about. In this book, we examine the art and science of leading people, building culture, and unleashing creativity as a home care manager. Some may call these competencies soft skills. I'm not crazy about that term. In fact, I think it's flat out misleading. It implies that these skills are easy. They are not. The skills and competencies we will explore in this book are the human skills you need to be a successful leader. If you want to be an impactful, transformative, and creative leader, you must lead with strength, compassion, intelligence, and resilience. That's what this book is about. What this book is not about. This book is not about client or patient care, billing, budgeting, finance, regulatory affairs, OASIS, QAPI, PDGM, compliance, AI, or HR employment law. We will not look at the day-to-day operations, workflow, or the tech stack that you use. I trust you have others you can lean on for those skills and to answer any questions. This book is about the human skills of leadership. Considering becoming a manager? A word to those standing at the crossroads. If you're considering stepping into leadership or you've recently accepted a promotion, I encourage you to find a trusted colleague who can tell you what it's really like. And after you've talked to other leaders and read this book and you feel excited to lead, go forth and conquer. And if you realize that this path isn't for you, go forth and be at peace, knowing you've made a good decision. Leadership isn't for everyone, and that's okay. We need great individual contributors just as much as we need great managers. It's better to discern that now than get 6 months in and feel stuck or seriously disappointed. The unique challenges of home care. Leadership development is one of the most overlooked and most critical needs in home care. You're asked to lead dispersed teams, manage complex operations, and deliver high-quality care, all while facing turnover, staffing shortages, budget constraints, and regulatory pressure. Many of you were outstanding individual contributors before being promoted. And now you're expected to lead teams, manage outcomes, inspire culture, and deliver results, often without training or support. It's a lot, and you're not alone. And you don't have to figure it out on your own. And in my work with home care leaders, I've coached many dedicated, smart, capable, big-hearted people who all say some version of the same thing. I feel like I was thrown in the deep end and told just to figure it out. If that's how you feel, then you're not alone, and you're in the right place. You have what it takes, and I'm honored to walk beside you on this journey. How this book is organized. I wrote Heart Work to be both practical and personal. Think of it as a leadership manual meets a conversation over coffee. You can read it front to back or jump around to the chapters that you need the most. And each chapter is designed to be short enough to be read in just 5 to 10 minutes so that you can apply the concepts quickly. And throughout the book, you'll see 3 core themes woven throughout. How to lead people with empathy and insight, how to build a culture where people thrive, and how to unleash creativity so you and your organization can innovate and solve complex challenges. A word before we begin. The future of home care needs leaders who are willing to think boldly, feel deeply, and act with courage. There's no such thing as a perfect leader, but you do need to be willing to stay curious when it would be easier to disengage or be directive. You need to be willing to lead with strength and compassion, even when it feels like a risk. And you must be willing to keep showing up, even when it's messy and hard. This heart work is how you will build the future of home care. I'm grateful you're here. Let's begin. Introduction. Your leadership is heart work. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Jane Goodall. My mom looked frail when we visited at Christmas 2019, but none of us could have imagined how quickly everything would change. When the pandemic hit, the world shut down, and so did our ability to gather. I stayed away to protect my parents, not realizing just how much my mom was declining. My older brother went out to visit them one weekend and saw what the rest of us could not. He convinced my dad to take her to the hospital. She stayed there for several weeks, but COVID restrictions prevented us from seeing her in the hospital. No visitors, no hugs, no holding her hand. Information came in bits and pieces. We knew she wasn't getting better, but the distance made it almost impossible to grasp how sick she truly was. One day, I called the doctor directly, and she gently told me the same thing she tried to tell my dad, but he was unable to hear. Your mom needs to go home. It's time for hospice. Arranging her discharge took more than a day because of staffing shortages. And when we finally got her home, I talked to the hospice nurse, and she said, call your family, come now. And we did. My brothers, my sons, my aunt and uncle all gathered at my childhood home. And by the time I got there, I only had 3 hours with her, 3 precious, sacred hours. We sang, we prayed, we held her hand and whispered our love. I sat beside her on the bed and said, Mama, everyone's here. We're okay. There's nothing else you need to do. I love you so much. You can go home now. And she did. My mom was a world-traveling trivia nerd. She was a bookworm and read every Agatha Christie novel at least 3 times. She was an art lover and a Celtic musician. She played and they danced. Her life was an intellectual masterpiece. And in those final moments, it was a hospice nurse who gave us the profound gift of being present as my mom made her way home to the Lord. That experience changed me. How could it not? It reminded me just how important this work is. Home care is more than a job. It's more than a business. It's a calling. And when you choose to work in home care, you're signing up for one of the hardest jobs in healthcare. Whether you lead caregivers, clinicians, schedulers, support staff, or sales teams, your leadership sets the tone. It influences how people feel, how invested they are in the mission, and the quality of work they do. Your leadership will determine if your team is engaged or disengaged, and whether they want to work for your organization or not. You hold the biggest sway on whether someone on your team chooses to stay or leave. In home care, leadership isn't just hard work, it is heart work, and your leadership matters more than you know. A leadership parable. Many years ago, a group of tourists wandered through a quiet European town. And as they strolled through the square, they noticed an old man sitting beside a fountain. And one of the tourists asked him, Sir, were any great leaders born here? And the man smiled and said, Nope, only babies. No one is born a leader. Becoming a great leader takes time, intentionality, openness, and courage. A brief history of home care. If you work in home care, you are adding your story to a noble history. Several decades before Florence Nightingale founded modern nursing, wealthy, compassionate women took care of the sick and elderly in their homes. And in the U.S., the earliest record of home care nursing was in Charleston, South Carolina, in 1813. For over 200 years, our industry has been guided by a benevolent duty to care for the chronically sick and elderly in their homes. And throughout the Civil War, the Great Depression, and through both world wars, visiting nurses created associations and best practices for home care. And by 1955, the home care movement became a respected part of the continuum of care. And in 1965, Medicare legislation was passed to fund healthcare benefits. The story of home care is still being written, and your leadership is part of the next chapter. You are heir to a lineage of healers, innovators, and compassionate disruptors. And the future of home care is in your hands. What this book offers. Heart work is your companion on this journey. Whether you're new to leadership or decades into your career, this book is here to help you lead with more awareness, vision, and creativity. It's organized into 3 overarching themes, which reflect the heartbeat of exceptional leadership in home care today. Part 1, lead people. Understand how to lead yourself before leading others. You'll deepen your self-awareness through emotional intelligence and the Enneagram. It will help you recognize patterns, communicate more clearly, coach more efficiently, and build trust across your team. Part 2, build culture. Gain the leadership tools to shape the unseen forces that drive culture, from values and collaboration to accountability and team resilience. You'll learn how to foster belonging, safety, and purpose, and create a workplace where people can thrive and where they want to stay. And Part 3, unleash creativity. Learn how to create the conditions that allow creativity to flourish. You'll explore how psychological safety, autonomy, and a culture of curiosity can unlock fresh thinking and courageous problem solving. It will help you cultivate an environment where innovation becomes possible and where people feel safe to speak up, experiment, and grow. I'm excited to be on this journey with you. If you care deeply, lead with integrity, and stay open to growth, you're already doing hard work, and the world needs more leaders like you. I hope you pick up your copy of Heart Work, How to Lead People, Build Culture, and Unleash Creativity in Home Care. It's available on Amazon on August 1st. And thank you for joining me in this conversation, this podcast today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review or a comment, and share it with someone who could use a dose of creativity and inspiration. So until next time, keep saying amen to creativity, bold thinking, transformational growth, and meaningful conversations. May you be wildly creative in your life and leadership. I'll see you soon.